Hello, my name is Sterling, and I'm a high school video production teacher. I like to make videos to teach my students how to do video production, and I'm trying something a little bit different today. Let me fix my sound just a second. Hi, my name is Sterling. I'm sorry for the previous false start. I'm trying something I haven't tried before, and that's live streaming from my house. Typically, I live stream at work a lot, and I'm always behind the scenes making things work. But I like to share my videos with other people so that they can also benefit from what I've learned. I teach my students through video because it's a video production class. I can give them videos and they can learn at different times. This works out very well. And I like to share my videos on YouTube as well. So today what I'm trying to do is a live video stream showing how I fit a lot of TV production equipment into a small room so that we can do a production from a small room. I'm going to talk through some of the things that I have done. I'm going to show you the setup of how I've set things up, and then I'm going to give you a list of the items that we actually use inside of our broadcast. So as I go through with this, I apologize in advance for mistakes because I am actually really nervous because this is something new and I'm stretching my comfort level trying to do this. If you're interested in doing live streaming, I recommend you practice and try and stretch your comfort level as well and try something new. I'm streaming today using Wirecast Play. It's a great program. You'll see in the bottom corner of my screen. Uh, let's see, I'm looking at everything reverse here. You'll see their logo. The logo is here because of the version of Wirecast that I'm using. I really like the program. I don't work for them, but it's a software program that I found very beneficial for live streaming. Today I would like to go through a couple of things about how you can do a TV studio in a small room. So I'm going to go through this PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to start off explaining some processes we've gone through to go from a classroom that has a full TV studio with a large crew to man it to a small simplified TV studio in a 9 by 13 classroom. Actually, it's a closet of a classroom. It used to be a paper closet that we have converted into a TV studio. So let me go ahead and show you how we do that. So first of all, I teach video production, and part of video production is we have a student news broadcast. It gives us school and community news. The students will write the news and they will get the information out to our school and to our community. It gives students the opportunity to explore careers that they may be interested in pursuing. This often includes having multiple cameras, and we connect to via a switcher to our school's system, either a CCTV, closed circuit television, educational access, or the internet. So these are ways that we can connect to other classrooms to create a broadcast. Our class has computers for students to do research, so this is kind of a typical classroom that you might see for video production. Our class also has a studio area for producing the broadcast. So this is our traditional setup, the setup that we've been using for a couple of years. We have a stage, we have a news desk for talent, we have 3 or 4 cameras depending on how many students are available to work, and we have a green screen. Mics, we have an audio mixer plugged in so that we can mix the audio. We have a light grid with a control console. We have a control room to switch the video feeds so that we can switch what shots we're having. We have teleprompters. We have communication devices, headsets, so that the director can communicate with the cameras, the floor director can communicate with everybody. And we have a research area or a computer lab. So this is our traditional setup. We have everything that you need to produce a broadcast. So this is kind of a diagram I made. You can see our stage. There's our anchor desk. We have 3 to 4 cameras. If we have 4 cameras, we'll have one on a jib arm or on a crane. We have a green screen, which actually is just a green fabric. It's a 10 by 30 or 10 by 20 fabric that's just hung from the ceiling. We have our microphones. We have lighting. You can see in this diagram here, I have the microphones, I have the lighting. We have somebody operating the soundboard. And then we have a control room, which is actually inside of another room that's controlling the cameras. So this is the equipment that we use in our broadcast. Oh, and I forgot we also have a teleprompter for the talent to see. Our teleprompter, though, we only have it working for one camera. So if the talent wants to read from the teleprompter, they have to read from the center camera. We also have a spot for a floor director who can communicate with the talent and make sure that they know what's going on. We have some computers in the room as well that students can work on. Now, these computers are simply separated by a green cloth hanging from the ceiling. So anybody making sound on the computers, it carries over into the studio. So in doing a news broadcast, the students learn various crew positions. They can learn how to operate cameras. They learn how to mix audio, how to hold a boom mic. The lighting director, really we just have the lighting director turn on the lights. They can adjust them or change the intensities, but usually that's the same person who's running audio. We have them set up the lights, get it ready, and then they run the audio when it's time. We have a director and a technical director. They sit next to each other in the control room. The director's calling the shots, and the technical director's making sure the right shots are coming through. We have a floor director who's on headset, and they can listen to the director, and they can help make sure everything on the floor is working how it should. We have the talent, the anchors who are reading the news, as well as somebody who can share about the weather standing in front of the green screen. We have someone who controls the teleprompter, and there's more positions. Depending on the day, there may be more positions added to make sure that everybody has a job to do, or there may be fewer jobs if many students are out sick or on field trips. We may need to adjust the different jobs. So here you can see all the different jobs. We have the camera operators, we have someone running the audio and the lighting board, we have a boom mic operator, we have the floor director, and you can see it's quite a few people operating this news broadcast. We have our talent and we have the weather person. So we have 10 to 15 different students learning different jobs related to video production and broadcasting. So there's some problems that I have encountered with this setup. First of all, every production was a big production. We would need 10 to 15 students to participate. This means that if I have more than 15 students, there are students sitting around not working on much because our classroom, our studio is within our classroom, and it's very disruptive for them to work. Or if I have a class that has less than 10 students, sometimes it's hard to stretch everybody to get all the positions filled. So we had a limited number of productions because it was such a big production or big setup to get everything working. Because the studio hours is in our classroom, we had to shut down while shooting. So there's a lot of lost time that could have been effectively used. Students are often not engaged in the class. They may have a job that requires them to set up something at the beginning, but while they're waiting for the cameras to fax or they're waiting for everybody else to get set up, they may tend to, get disengaged or find something else to occupy their time. Often a phone comes out or some other distraction. And so I noticed that there was this problem with having this big setup. Not only that, but it was complicated to set up. There are many different parts and components to make sure that it worked. Now, I've been visiting some newsrooms recently, and I've noticed that this really is an inauthentic situation. 15 years ago, this was more authentic to have this many people working in a news broadcast. But I've noticed that today, newsrooms really are streamlined. Most of the crew positions have been automated. You may have one person who's operating all of the cameras remotely. There may not be as many people involved. And so I wanted to find a way to make a better, more realistic scenario for students to work in so that they could be developing the skills and we could solve our problem of the wasted time where students are not engaged or the trouble of setting up this big production every time. So some of the goals and desired outcomes that I was seeking in a new solution is I wanted increased authenticity. I wanted to truly prepare students for the real world. I thought that it was very necessary that students would be able to not just uh, not just sit and see how things used to be, but see how things might be in today's world. So I wanted it to be more authentic. Let's see if I can switch the PowerPoint while the camera's on. I also wanted to increase our number of broadcasts. Our goal was to have daily broadcasts. As it was, we were doing about one a week, but we wanted more broadcasts. We wanted to get the information out to our community and school easier. I wanted to keep students engaged and actively learning in this process. And so I didn't want students just sitting around doing nothing. I wanted them making sure that they were continually working, doing something to engage their time in. I wanted to increase the individualized learning. I wanted to make sure that students who were learning at a faster pace wouldn't get bored, that they were continually being pushed. I also wanted to make sure that students who struggle to learn this content may have a little bit extra help and that they can learn at their pace so that they don't get overwhelmed and burned out from learning this. I wanted to increase the classroom learning time that students had in learning their skills. And so I wanted also the students to develop more skills, more in depth, not just skills that are going obsolete, but skills of planning, production, skills that they can cross over to other disciplines. And so I wanted them to learn how to work and be self-driven. And we wanted to create some broadcasts without shutting down the classroom. Our goal was that we could have more broadcasts, but we also have less downtime. That when a student's not working on the broadcast, they still have a place where they can work. And I wanted to better prepare tomorrow's workforce. I wanted to give them more experiences that they could take and apply when they go out to college or when they go for their first careers. So the solution, in our classroom, we have a storage closet full of paper. And I thought it would be great if we could convert this storage closet into a mini newsroom. Now, this is a work in progress, what we have done, but it's something that could definitely be done in a conference room, in a small room. If you only have a corner part of your classroom, maybe you can put it in there. This is also something, maybe you convert an office into a mini newsroom. Maybe you have a teacher's office that you don't use that's connected to your classroom, and you can convert it easily into a student news broadcast. So in our conversion of this closet, we wanted to create something that as few as 2 students could run a broadcast. So the room is set up so students can produce a daily news broadcast while the rest of the class continues to work, learn, and develop their skills. So what we did is we took this closet and we converted it to what I like to call a TV studio in a box, or basically a small area that's a full TV studio. So we took this 9 by 14 storage closet, we cleaned it out, painted it black, that way the light would not bounce around the room. And we just bought black paint from a local hardware store and painted it. And then we added sound abatement material to the walls. It's a cinder block room, and so without sound abatement material or foam that softens the sound, we had lots of echo and the sound wasn't that great. And then I had a box of old carpet floor tiles that were left over from a project years ago. And so I put those on the floor as well to help soften the sound. We decided to put a green screen on one wall and we hung a curtain in front of the green screen. That way we could have a curtain as a backdrop, or we could use a green screen and apply a chroma key effect so that students could learn how chroma key works and they can have virtual sets instead of just simply doing a TV broadcast from what looks like a small closet. We set up 2 cameras. Actually, we tried setting up 3 cameras where we had 1 camera running overhead, and it worked well, but we needed cameras for other purposes. So we cut it back down to 2 cameras. And this works great. That way we can get 2 different shots inside of our studio, and the students are able to operate switching between different cameras. And we also added iPad teleprompters. Now, this is one of my favorite things. Teleprompter is something that we've struggled with in getting it to work correctly and making sure that they can get the scripts to it. But we were able to add iPad teleprompters and they're voice activated. This is just amazing, and it's really made all the difference in our broadcasts. So what we did also is we set up a basic 3-point lighting system. We got a portable LED lighting system that has a remote control, and the remote control allows us to set everything up. The lights are hung or set up using C-stands and light poles, and they stay in the same place. But with the remote control, we're able to turn on and off the lights and change their intensity. We set up a video switcher, and the video switcher is basically wirecast software, the logo you see in the bottom corner, and we have it connected to a second monitor. Then we connected a mic to the computer using a USB XLR adapter. So here's kind of a rough diagram of our TV studio in a box. Now, this image is not to scale, but this is the size. It was a fairly large closet, but still a small area to put a TV studio. These are representing the sound abatement materials. Through a grant, I was able to buy some sound abatement foam, or black foam, that allows the sound to kind of be muffled and not bounce around so much. So we put these around the room. We put a green screen on one end of the room, which this was actually just a green piece of vinyl that we just glued or taped to the wall, and it works great. I really like the green vinyl. If you're looking for a good chroma key, I recommend finding a green vinyl. It just works wonderfully. We hung a curtain around the room. We had some old curtain railing lying around, and so we hung the curtain. It's a black cloth that just goes around the room, and because it's on a track, we can move it so that you can see the green screen, or you can roll it out so that you just have a nice black backdrop. We set up 2 cameras. Underneath the cameras, we mounted 2 iPads. And then here's our example of 3-point lighting. We had a small desk put in there with the laptop put on one side with our secondary monitor there as well. The mic is then positioned in the center. We initially started with a lavalier mic, but then we switched it to a shotgun mic. The lavalier mic worked well, except we started having 2 anchors, and so we switched it to a shotgun mic, which works much better. And so, but either way, it works well having the mic connect from it's a XLR microphone, and it just connects to USB. And then we put a desk in there, and we have a spot for 2 anchors and for a person to run the computer. And so this is our TV studio in a box, or our setup for how we can have basically a TV studio in a very small isolated area. So then we had to change our process of how we did news broadcasts. Students were broken up into groups of 3 and are in charge of creating a news broadcast for each day of the week. Each week, the requirements for the news broadcast increases. So we started off very basic. The first week that we tried this, the students simply had to create a broadcast. After that, it added that they had to switch cameras. And then we continue to add in new requirements every week so that they're continually learning and continually stretching their skills and their abilities. The students are being graded on their skill development. I'm trying to grade students based on their skills because I have a unique situation. We have a robust after school club and we have a class that both teach video production. Students in the after school club may spend hours upon hours videotaping sports and events, and then they take the class and they already know a lot of what is going to be taught in the class. Or somebody in class may be going at a much faster pace. And so we're trying to work out so we can grade students based on their skills. And what we're doing is we have students, they earn 7 out of 10 points at the novice level if they're able to basically answer simple questions about the skill that they're learning. 8 points is if they can demonstrate the skill correctly. And 10 points is if they can teach others to use the skill or they demonstrate a high ability of the skill. I use a website called edpuzzle.com for the novice ability. I will record the videos and I will record instructions. I will post it to Edpuzzle. And Edpuzzle allows you to add in quizzes to your videos, which I absolutely love because I can go through, I can put the quizzes in, the students log in to Google Classroom and they connect right to Edpuzzle and they watch the video. And when the video pauses, they have to answer the question. If they don't get it, they can go back and watch it again. And Edpuzzle will actually score the quizzes for me, and Edpuzzle will not only score the quizzes, but it will also show me if I want to see how many times a student watched a certain segment. I can see that as well. So if I look at my students' answers and I notice that they all watched a certain segment 4 times, I realize I probably did a poor job explaining that segment of the video, and I need to go back and make sure that they understand that better. So that's how students would achieve the novice level of of ed, of this scoring rubric. Is they would just go through and they answer questions, and then they demonstrate that they know how to do it, and then when they know how to teach others or they continually demonstrate it, then they are considered to be proficient. And so when students are not recording their daily news broadcasts, they're working on either making an ENG, developing their other skills, or planning for their next news broadcast. Now, me as a teacher, I've been learning along the way as well. This was something new that I haven't tried before. And so as we were doing this, I'm trying to teach a different style, and I'm learning as much as my students are, if not more. They are constantly giving me feedback on how we can improve our broadcasts. And I take the feedback that they say and I try to change and modify what they have said. Um, One example is we started off, and the class that I teach this with has 15 students. And I wanted students to break up into groups of 2 initially, so that way, I'm sorry, my class has 14 students. I wanted students to break up into groups of 2. And I wanted them to each take a day. And then one student said, well, why don't we just break into groups of 3 and have one group of 2, and everybody takes a day of the week? And that way we know exactly which day, we don't have to calendar it. And it was amazing. We did that, and one group has 2, the rest have 3, and they're all able to work every day. They're given an assigned day that they are in charge of the school news broadcast for that day. Uh, Microphones. We switched out the microphones because we started with a lavalier, like I mentioned previously, and switched to a shotgun. And this was because students said, we think a shotgun mic would work better in this scenario, and they explained their reasoning. And so we tried it, and it seemed to work much better. And so I followed my students' suggestions on this. Teleprompters. We started off, we had one teleprompter, which was an iPad teleprompter that had a wired remote to it. And the students complained. They said, we're still only looking at one camera. We're not looking at all of the cameras. And so I wanted to come up with a way. The students said, can't we mount something under both cameras? So I looked at all the different configurations that I could come up with, and I was trying to connect an iPad to a VGA converter and then a VGA converter to an extra monitor. And after going through everything, I thought there's got to be an easier way. And I realized that I could just I found an app that is voice activated. And so students can read, and as they read, the app follows right down with the script that they've previously written. And the script is saved to Google Drive. And so they take that script and they just load it to the Google Drive and it goes right to the app. So I put that app on one of the iPads as a teleprompter. And as I'm trying to put all these wires and configurations and cables together to make the second one work, I thought, wait, this is voice activated. It doesn't have to be 100% in sync. So I put the app on the second iPad. And they're not 100% synced up, but it's only milliseconds off. And so now, whichever camera the students are looking at, they can see the teleprompter and they can follow along with it. So we ran into some technical issues in trying to set this up. At first, I installed the software from my user account, not realizing that I had to install it from an administrator's user account for all the logins to work. Once we figured that out, it makes it much easier. But until we figured that out, I had to log in every time, and that became a hassle. If I was out on professional development or in a meeting, it made it difficult to operate. So I've learned that I had to make sure to set up the software correctly so that it runs on everything. And so that was an issue we had with software logins and user rights. We tried a couple of different hardware configurations. They were using equipment that we had. Some of the equipment didn't work, mostly because we're trying to connect. We had a computer with USB 3 on it. I'm sorry, a Thunderbolt 3 on it, and we connected that to a Thunderbolt converter to Thunderbolt 2, and after so many connections, it didn't work so well. So it took us some trial and error to see what worked with the hardware and software that we had. So now the students' learning process has changed as well. I've noticed that the students are more engaged. In fact, today I was walking around my class and I honestly was bored, which doesn't happen too often because there's always somebody you can help. But I circled the room, I checked with everybody, and everybody was engaged. They were doing what they were supposed to. And actually, after I kept pacing, one student looked at me and he said, "You look bored." And I had to admit that I really was, because everybody was doing their work and everybody was engaged. And so the students have really risen to using this new model for their television production, and they're always working. They always have something to do. They can be working on their podcast for this week, or they can be working on a news package that they have to include, or they could be working on developing a skill. So they all have something to do. More time is spent learning, more time is spent developing skills and troubleshooting problems. And the students are always sharing suggestions with me on how we can improve. The students are stretched, but they're motivated to do well. All of the students are stretched because I keep giving them more and more. And even the students who were struggling before are working harder to get more done. The students who were advanced before are working well above what I had them doing before because they have a lot more freedom to do what they want to do. So this is the TV studio in the box. Is it crowded in there? Yes. Is there a lot of equipment and stuff packed into a small space? Yes. Is it effective? Oh, yes. And is it easy to duplicate? Yes, I really think it is. And that's what I'm going to show you now, is how you can duplicate this. I'm going to show you links to the actual products that we use. These do have affiliate links to them. There is a link to my website in the description of this video, and it tells you how, if you want to go to the PowerPoint that I'm going through, you can click there and you can go through this on your own. But they are affiliate links. If you click on them, I do get a small finder's fee. But if you don't click on them, that's fine too. But it's a great place to start. So if you want to see where this equipment comes from, you can check it out there. This setup can be duplicated in a classroom, media center, home office, or corner room anywhere. It really doesn't take a lot of space, and you can do a lot of things with the software and technology that's available now. The following slides, so I'm going to go through some of the equipment that we use, and that just says that they're affiliate links. So here's an overview. We use Wirecast Studio by Telestream. I've used a bunch of different things in my time, and I really like the software by Wirecast. It works well and it's portable. We load it on a laptop and it works great. We have two Canon camcorders. We have to convert the signal from the camcorders into the computer that we use, and so we use two video converters made by Blackmagic. They're called Blackmagic Design Mini Recorder, and it converts HDMI to Thunderbolt. Our computer is a Macintosh, and so we have two Thunderbolt um, ports on the computer to bring in the video. Uh, and then we have a 3-point lighting system. We have an XLR to USB signal converter, and then we use this. I made this PowerPoint before we switched to a shotgun mic, but we had a lavalier mic or the shotgun mic. And then we have an iPad for each camera and a teleprompter mount that is connected. So here's some other items we used. You need Thunderbolt cables. You need HDMI mini to HDMI cables. These came with the cameras that we bought. And you need an XLR cable for the audio. Sound abatement panels. If you're in a space that's just a small room, chances are the sound's going to bounce off the walls, and you want to muffle that or get it so that it doesn't bounce, so that you don't hear too much of an echo. If you don't get the professional sound panels, you can get foam, you can get the egg carton material, you can even put things on the walls to just make them irregular walls, or so it's not a flat surface, and that will help as well. We painted the room black. We put up a green screen. You could paint with green. Technically, any color works. You just don't want to be wearing the color that you're using. And then carpet squares. And those were just things that we had, the carpet squares we had lined around the classroom from a previous project. And then C stands, that's short for century stands. Those are amazing because you can move them around and fit them in really tight places. And so we actually have our light. Two of our lights are on one C stand, but it has a bar going across the top, and it holds both of the lights, and it works very well. And actually, that same C stand held our third camera when we used an overhead camera. And then we have tripods for the cameras, and we have a light stand in the back for our backlight. So the video switcher software that we use Wirecast Studio. It's made by Telestream. They have a couple of different versions, and I like them. I was looking for a switcher to replace what we were using, and I downloaded all the different software programs, and I tried this one, and it works very well for what we do. If you're thinking about trying it, I recommend just downloading Wirecast. Try it, see if it works for you. If it works, use the trial first, and then try it first. The camcorders that we use, they're just small Canon Vixia HR R50. These are no longer made. I put a link there if you want to see what the more current model is. But basically, these are nice little camcorders, and we plug in an HDMI cable from these cameras into the Blackmagic converter into the computer. And so here you can see that's what the converter looks like. It's the gray box on the right. You need to buy Thunderbolt cables. The converter box doesn't come with Thunderbolt cables. I recommend buying Thunderbolt cables from Apple. I've noticed that if you buy Apple's cables, they always seem to work a little bit better. They sell small. I think it's like 1.5 feet, and then they sell the 2-meter cables. I recommend getting the 2-meter cables unless you don't need a lot of space. The 2-meter cables, though, will give you a little bit more wiggle room. If you don't have a Mac, you only have a PC, this is something a lot of people have recommended to me, and it's called a Magwell HDMI USB connector. This is about twice the price as one of the mini recorders, but I've heard great things about it, and so that's something to try if you don't have a Mac. You just have a computer that only has USB. There are other all-in-one systems. You could build your own system. If you want to build a PC, you could put a PC in and put a card that has multiple video inputs. Telestream, the maker of Wirecast, they just came out this year or late last year with something called Wirecast Gear. And basically, it's a computer. I believe it's a PC-based computer that they spec'd out specifically to run their software. So if you're interested in that, you might check them out. I haven't tried it, but it looks like a pretty good hardware package. And then Blackmagic Studio HD just barely came out, and that basically allows you to connect up to 8 different input devices, and you have a push button display, and you can switch between all of the different shots. So that might be something to check out as well. It looks interesting to me, but I have not experienced it. So here's a copy, or here's the 3-point lighting system that we use, and I really like this 3-point lighting system. I've used a lot of different lights and I've tried to configure things. This works the best that I have found, and I'm trying to save up or write a grant so we can get another set of these. It's a portable lighting system that has battery packs, and the kit that it comes with, I think 6 or even 12 batteries. It comes with a lot of batteries, and it's dimmable. You have a remote control that you can control all three of these. They're each assigned their own channel, channel A, B, and C, and so you can control each one. We have these lights set up in the studio, and students walk in, they grab the remote control, they turn them all on, and as long as they don't adjust them, the light looks pretty good and they don't have to white balance. But if they do have to adjust them, they can do it right from the remote control, and the lights don't get touched and they stay in the same spot, and it's great. Um, Here are some mics that we use. Uh, there's the adapter on the left. It basically, you plug in an XLR feed into one side and a USB cable into the other side. In the middle is our lavalier mic that we use, and then just a shotgun mic. So just get whatever mic. If you are presently have mics, then go ahead and use them. Uh, iPads or teleprompters. So we have older iPads and they're mounted beneath each camera. We had older teleprompter equipment that was designed for iPads, but unfortunately my students broke the glass in them, and so now instead of mounting a proper teleprompter, we do mount it, excuse me, below the camera, and you can see it and read along. But it works great. We simply have the iPads mounted right below the cameras, and the students can look at either camera. And because we installed this app, it's called Prompt Smart Pro. It's a free app. They have a free version. I tried the free version, I liked it, and then I looked at what the benefits of having the paid version was, and it was definitely worth the cost. This connects right to Google Drive, so I have a folder shared on Google Drive with my students, and they put their scripts in there every day. So when it's their turn, they walk in, they open up the app, and they load the script right from the drive. And it's amazing how easy we can have the students collaborate on their scripts together. And when they are done, they just go right in the room and they can start using it. Here's some miscellaneous things that you might need: Thunderbolt cables, mini HDMI cables to HDMI cables. Usually those come with the cameras. Sound abatement panels or some sort of foam, black paint, green screen, carpet squares, and C stands, tripods, light stands. And so with all of that, you should be able to set up your own TV studio in a small confined area, and you can produce great videos. So I just wanted to show this with other people and share with others what we have been able to figure out working together, working with the students, and trying to find something that works well. And it really is. It's been a great opportunity for us to keep the students engaged and keep them busy, because every day they have something to work on. Whether they're working on their news broadcast for that week, or they're working on a news package that will go into a future news broadcast, or they're developing skills by watching videos posted through Edpuzzle. And so when you walk into the class, there could be 6 or 7 different projects going on at once, and the students are all busy and actively engaged. Anyway, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. It is something new that I've not done before, so I apologize for my stuttering and for my mistakes. It is something that I wanted to try and to stretch myself and just show how easy it is to create a broadcast in such a small confined space. So I just wanted to thank you for taking your time and watching this. And if you have questions, feel free to post a comment below. I will try to answer it. If I don't know the answer, I'll see if I can research it and figure it out for you. Anyway, I hope that you have a great day, and thank you for watching.